All right, let's see if this works. I'm very excited. Hold on one second. Let's see. Look at this. Look at that. I'm just standing in front of everybody. The standing desk is now in place. Look at this. There you go. So I don't have to sit the entire time. Hi, chat room. Good to see you. Good morning. Hi. I still have to extend the green screen. The green screen I have is far too small still, and I'll have to adjust the lighting. And there's a little, for whatever reason, the other camera was just being weird. But, all right, and I have to stand over here. Is this center? I don't know why that would be center. Let's see. I'll just make myself center for the time being. This seems like I'm listing to port. Anyways, we'll work it out later. It's just the morning show, so it doesn't matter. So I can test stuff and try stuff and do stuff, and it probably sounds a little boomy in here too. Comparatively, I'm gonna have to put up some sound baffle because I took down some of the shelves that were above this so the desk doesn't crash into it. So when it comes to, I guess, having a standing desk for some folks, it doesn't matter all that much because you always see people in the ads for them with a laptop on it. Like that's how they live. Like they just code life and call it a day. And when you're streaming, there's a whole lot of shit on this desk. I literally had to find one that will lift. This one will lift 175 pounds. If a 175 pound person lays on it, you could hit the button and it'll still move up. And I think I'm about 8 pounds clear of max. I'm kidding. It's but like 3 lights, 5 lights, 3 monitors, camera, microphone, keyboard, and sundry little things. It's a big deal. Like it's, and the trick is, of course, to put it in its highest position, wire up everything, and then basically attach the cables either to the wall or something where they can just kind of, so they don't just shrink to the floor when it goes down, that they kind of just go down a little bit. So you've got to find kind of the angle on the bend for that. It's a little minor physics, not a big deal. But, or geometry, really. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. But in this process, like last night, I'm setting up this whole thing, and I'm like gathering this. I feel like these backlights, which are for the green screen, are way too bright right now on me. So I gotta turn them off me or something, because that's a little crazy pants. I think I have to put them, because I'm up higher now, I think I'm going to have to put them on stands over here. They're attached to the desk. So, we'll see. I don't know. It's a lot. But anyways, good morning. Hi, everybody. Hi, morning show. I have coffee. I'm standing up. I was up all goddamn night. My voice is tired and raspy, which is not a promising sign. Although I only got about 5 hours sleep, or 4 and a half hours sleep last night. So this is what I sound like anyways, whether I've been singing or not. So, but the reason I did this is because I'm doing the show multiple times a day now, am doing a lot more sitting in my life than I had ever wanted. So I'm going to jazz that up a little bit with you guys, if that's okay. Sometimes I'll be sitting, sometimes I'll be standing. It's that kind of a desk system. As a matter of fact, Summer bought me a new stool to sit on for, look at this, for my posture and my good health. It's one of these like inflatable round ball, like sitting on one of those inflatable balls so that your back doesn't hurt. Because I mean, there have been days, especially when I'm doing like rallies and whatnot, where I've just been like, after I get up and I'm like, my posture like this. I'm like, this can't be good. So There you go. So, yeah. So now I've got, like I said, I have to widen out the, the green screen. I'm going to have to raise it up and move it over because it's positioned for the other desk. And it's one of these things. Hold on. I'll show you some of you guys. This, and my other desk is a mess because I had to move everything onto it that came off of here. So it is my microphone for singing and all that kind of stuff, and my other stuff. It's like the shelves aren't that weird. It's just with the other stuff in front of it, it's meant to be slightly chaotic. Never mind. But that green screen, I'm gonna have to move around. So that's the project I've been working on for a couple of days behind the scenes while doing the show. I took the back and arm off my office chair, set it and leaned back, turned it so I could sit on it and decline. Great for back. That's a great idea. I don't actually have back problems, just letting you know. I don't want anybody to worry too much or whatever, but I'm trying not to have back problems. See how that works? Like I recognize that this behavior, or this change in my lifestyle for certain things could end up giving me bad back and flat ass, and I am heading it off at the pass. That's how you do it. That's I dig your well before you're thirsty, as the saying goes, and it's very important that you recognize that there could be problems stemming from behavior in the middle. You know what? Catching yourself in the middle of it is a great thing. Most people recognize it in diet when you're eating something. You're like, yeah, nah. If I keep eating this, this is gonna be bad. I presume. Good pre-emoting out. Thank you. I presume on some level. I also think, yeah. I have an idea. I just had an idea. Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna put in other monitors. I have crappy old monitors that aren't very useful anymore. And if I tilt them like this and put them up there, I can use them for chat and other stuff. And they don't have to come down with the desk. I can mount them on the wall, maybe. I don't know. I'm just thinking. It's a thinking thing. It's great. It's nice. Sometimes you gotta, there's an old feng shui thing that if you want your life to change, if you want to move things forward, or you're in a rut, move 27 things in your house. That's how you do it. It's an old feng shui thing. Just move them around. Just go, okay, this lamp goes from this corner to this corner. These throw pillows, I'm flipping sides. This vase that's been sitting here for a long time, I'm going to clean it, and I'm going to put it over here. Do 27 of those things. Why 27? I think it's because of the 3 times 9 thing. That's my guess. 9's a big number. 3's a big number. 3 times 9, that's why. But part of it is just, it's a volume where you can't accidentally do it, like, 9 or 16 or 12 or whatever. It's an activity. Yeah. 27 things a day. Not every day, just once. You don't have to move them around all the time. That's a little chaotic. The idea is that you get in a stagnant space, things get stuck the way they are, and the way you reignite the chi in your house, and this is, for those of you that are familiar with feng shui at all, that's the basic idea, is that you get stagnant energy in a house. And you can do it in a way that I just feel like psychologically, or that there's a material ether in the world that the Chinese are privy to, or that the Japanese are privy to, or Asian societies became privy to or take seriously, where the West said, pissed off from the ethers a long time ago, and some people fuck around with dark energy or dark matter, and pretend like it's science, we'll just haven't figured it out yet. And they're like, we don't care if we figured it out. It definitely feels weird if your room is stagnant. So clean your room, straighten things up, move stuff around. If there's a pile of yuck in one corner all the time, if there's a corner you can't clean up, that like everything gathers there, That's where like feng shui artists will hang a crystal over it because it just splits light and fragments and whatever and makes everything go haywire so that it can't settle like a pool. Feng shui, of course, means wind and water. These are just the principles of it. You don't have to believe in this. But I'm just explaining this kind of idea. But in the process of doing it, there are, whether you believe in the metaphysical aspect of it or not, is sort of immaterial. You will definitely feel ignited in every other aspect of your life. You will feel like, oh, I'm moving, I'm doing stuff. I'm back on top of it again. I'm not just stuck in a rut, right? They don't make crystals big enough. That's great, kid. It doesn't have to be that big. They're actually fairly small. I want to say like 50 millimeter ones are the ones that everybody uses. I have one above my desk right here, which I'm going to have to move, I think. But, yeah. And then, yeah, I don't have any other ones in here. No. So, I do have my 5 firecrackers that my friend gave me from China. Or from Taiwan, actually. They're from Taiwan. Which is not China, for the record. Taiwan 是一个国家. That's the sentence that lost me my last series job before I even had it. Yeah, because that means Taiwan is a country. And apparently that's upsetting for some folks. Let's see. Now I'm going to have to set up a thing where I can scroll or do my stuff like this. And I wonder what, no, that one won't work. I'm doing my regular frames today because of how it works out. And this camera's jagged. I'm gonna have to fix it. Quite strange. But here's our trends for the day. Good morning. And Maggie Haberman on how she covers Trump without losing her mind. Okay. Citation needed. I will. You can't just state I'm not crazy when you've spent that much time with someone like that and have me believe it. I'm not leaning that way at all. Let me open up my chat as well so I can see you lovely folks. There we are. Hi, there you are. Hi, guys. I see the chat now. Yay. Maggie sold her soul. I don't, Suze, I don't know about that. Look, you guys know, I am not one of these folks that jumps on this person is evil bandwagon if they're not 100% on the team or if they seem to, like people did the same thing with, like Bob Woodward, because he did these interviews with Trump and he didn't release them until the book came out. But part of that is like, if you do that, you're never going to get an interview again, and nobody's going to find out this kind of thought that goes on, especially if you've gained that much ground. You don't care for the small blue box. This guy right over here, that's where the little the alert should show up, and it doesn't sometimes. Hold on, let me see if I can fix that. Yeah, it should be right there. Or do you mean the corner box over here? I can make that smaller, but if I do, it won't. Yeah. So the idea is, yeah, she's a journalist, not a historian. That's a good point, because she's not keeping track of what happened. She's actually reporting what's going on currently. The problem is like, how do you maintain access to these folks so that you can tell people eventually what they were really thinking without it just becoming a walled off community? It's really hard for this to walk that line. You know what I mean? Now, don't get me wrong. There's definitely people who like the power and the prestige of hanging out with those folks, but I don't necessarily dive into all that. And I think we oversimplify other human beings quite frequently, especially now, because people, if you'll notice, this happens with Elon Musk on the right. This happens with people like Maggie Haberman when, on the left side of things, that it'll ping pong from like, thank God she told people to, oh my God, she's just hanging out to be a grifter and sell books. this investigative over access any day. Well, here's the thing, Suze. I would argue that she's just not that. That she might be a source for other journalists, and may have been, quite frankly, because there's nothing stopping Maggie Haberman from telling, we don't know, and this is benefit of the doubt stuff, but we don't know what would we flip out and cancel you for? Let me think. I'll work on it. Nothing, because I mean well. I think that's the only reason people, get canceled for real and it sticks, is because they mean ill, even if they're just playing stupid. So what chat is HAL seeing? I'm seeing all of the chats, Midas Sue. Is she a Republican, though? No, I don't think so. Yes, I do have 2 turntables and a microphone. Soil on my genitals. No, sorry, that's not the line. So there's a distinct possibility. Let me float this for an idea. And this is not me defending her. This is me defending the idea that there are access journalists and then there are investigative journalists. That the access journalists go into the editorial room or talk to their editor and go, look, this shit is going down. Somebody needs to talk to, people need to know this part. And they're the source. So the unknown source is not actually someone in the administration, but a Maggie Haberman, for example. Right? And the reason they say, a source who's not at liberty to say or whatever, that liberty isn't on behalf of the government so much as it's on behalf of the paper. Owning a copy of Our Journey Together will get you canceled. Which book is that? Is that Mark Meadows' book? See, the problem is, no. See, I have, because of what I do for a living, I have a lot of these books. I have a lot of books by awful people. I have a lot of, I watch, God knows, you guys know this. I watch a lot of these, right-wingers talk. And mainly because I want to know what their argument is. And I'm amazed often how lame it actually is when you dive in. And that's the problem to some degree. The right has used the myth of cancellation as to weaponize the fact that they don't really have a point. Think of it as Trump's 2-week plan that's always, it's always right around the corner. It's just over there. I've got this great plan, but nobody wants to do it because it's too good. And the inside people, the Derp state people, they would definitely stop me from doing it. I've got this plan that includes, solar power desalinization plants and spark plugs that, are made out of, the tears of your enemies, whatever. That oftentimes, but I got canceled. They won't even let me talk. And so when you don't let them talk, they have the illusion that whatever they were going to say actually made sense. They get the benefit of the doubt. And what you want is you want them to say their piece. And then you want to ask them 2 more questions. And then you want to ask them 2 more questions past that. Because what you get is that, like the guy like Matt Walsh, who became kind of right-wing famous for his What's a Woman, anti-trans doc that he's been doing. Which, again, most of the argument over there is that those folks don't know the difference between autogynephilia and being transgender and not caring, and knowing that the law isn't really distinct about it right now and the dangers posed in that circumstance. I would argue BTK is an autogynephiliac, not transgender. That is not transgender people's fault, and those are the people who are dangerous, but they are not transgender. They are taking advantage of gray areas in the law. Most of them are straight, some of them aren't, but the point is that by not making that distinction, by not making a distinction between black people and Rachel Dolezal and saying they're all the same group, then you create a false argument. Anyways, that he got, he gained fame because of that, but they're catching up with him because they're going back and looking at his radio show and stuff. And he was like, well, 16-year-old girls are at their most fertile. And technically speaking, that's when you should impregnate them and that kind of stuff. And you're like, all right, you dig deep enough, and creeps are creeps. Let them be creeps. It's when you stop them just shy that you allow them to again, benefit from the, get the benefit of the doubt. Autogynephilia. It is people who are sexually aroused by the idea of having female genitalia when they are male. Males liking the idea that men would be attracted or women would be attracted because they do. Ed Gein was an autogynephiliac in that regard. Now, I know autogynephilia, how did I say it? Autogynephiliacal tendencies aren't necessarily dangerous, whatever. Like there's this big spectrum of sexuality out there in the world. It's the philiacs, the ones who are crazy, as in maniac, that are dangerous. Ed Gein was one. Like I said, BTK was one. They are not trans. They have a sexual arousal at wearing the skin. Well, Buffalo Bill in the Silence of the Lambs thing would qualify, right? Okay, it's different. And what the right does is they take that group of people who are largely heterosexual males, and many who have other deep psychological problems, and then they lay them in with anybody who cross-dresses or is transgender, which is not right. It is not. That's transgender people are not technically are technically one of the least violent people in the world, for example. Autogynephiliacs, not so much. They got a bad history from as far as, shallow graves and whatnot. So mixing these two and then saying that's them, and then criticizing this group as if these people are a member is the problem, right? Anyways, it happens a lot. Like I said, I think the best example I can give is blaming black people for the behaviors of Rachel Dolezal, or that weird Australian or Swiss woman who like dyed her skin black and got injections and all kinds of stuff, and she's like, yeah, totally feel black now. Like, okay, that's not black people's problem. I don't know why. I don't even know why it's in the same fucking conversation. Why should you know what I mean? Like some of you might have seen it. Okay, the picture that's going around of the shop teacher with the big fake breasts that showed up at school. Arguably, that guy, and this is observational, and Canada don't get mad, is an autogynephiliac, not transgender. Because his feeling isn't that he wants to be himself and fit in, is that he's performatively hypersexed in front of teenage boys. So it's weird. And that's different. And so blaming the entire transgender community for that guy is wrong. Right. So they do that a lot. And the problem is that right at the time they do that, they get canceled. And there's this big, now there's forever a smokescreen around what they really believe and think. Of like, look, I'm just trying to help. This is dangerous. This is, I'm worried about our kids, right? And they get to like have this wall that they were stopped at that they can now monetize effectively on the right wing, especially, and tour around the country going, they don't want me to protect our kids. You're like, okay, dude, those guys end up being like was it Mark Foley, the guy the Republican from Florida, I think it was ages ago, who was on the Missing and Exploited Children's Committee in the Congress, headed it up for years, and was, sexting 12-year-old pages. That kind of dude. They end up being that kind of person. You have to let people say their piece. And maybe it's interesting because I feel a tremendous amount of safety in the depth of conversation we have here, because I don't do short form videos very often. I'm going to start. I know that part of this is that. No, it's not Dave Foley. It's Mark Foley. Yes, I am standing, Sylvia. Thank you for noticing. Like pages who worked at the, for, summers, like school kids who were doing work at the Capitol and like part of like civics camp. Yeah. Yes, I am. I'm using my new standing desk, which I got for my birthday from my girlfriend. So thank you. Mark Foley. So Oh, the arms are looking okay. They're getting there. I mean, like I said, it's healthier for me to be standing in general. But what was that joke about turning over your pages? Not Dave, Mark Foley. And I may be even getting there. I'll check on it. You guys remember. So, not kids in the bedroom. That's right. So, the important thing though is letting people say their piece without interrupting them too early. Because I see this a lot when people get mad at certain interviewers when they're interviewing somebody on the right that, like Santorum or somebody like that comes on CNN or MSNBC, and you're like, why don't you jump down his throat and yell at him? Okay. Because 3 questions down the line, this fucker will say the thing. He'll say the quiet part loud, but only if he feels safe to do so. And that has to be part of the strategy sometimes. It really does. If people don't want to let you know who they are right out of the gate, then you have a responsibility to try and coax it out of them. Page was a young man who was to be a knight during the Middle Ages. Yes, but they have congressional pages as well. Boing. Sorry. And look, I'm gonna have to turn the fan up higher. Sorry if it's too loud, but it's warm in this room, and I have to shut the door or the cat will come in, and now I have no lap to jump in, so they'll be very confused. I don't coax. Yeah. Yes, Dave Foley is kids in the hall. Mark Foley is not. Stupid words will find their way out without coaxing. Not necessarily, Scott, because some of these people are media savvy. Some of these people... Look, where do you think Trump got his perfect phone call idea from? He said that shit all the time. It was a perfect phone call. It was a perfect... Why was it a perfect phone call? Why does his brain lock on that, other than the fact that he's in some sort of sundowning situation, probably? Why perfect phone call? What's perfect about it? Well, the perfect part was I said the crimey part in a way that legally doesn't get me in trouble. That's why. Do you understand? He thinks it was a perfect phone call because he's like, I got away with it. That's why. So you have to understand, like, from his point of view, the reason he's like, God damn it was a perfect phone call. I said, give us the start an investigation against the Bidens or we'll fuck your country up, without actually saying, start an investigation against the Bidens or we'll fuck your country up. I don't understand. It was perfect. I made notes. I say the part where, winky noddy, winky noddy, winky nod, and then talk to Rudy Giuliani. He'll come over and talk to you. And then in person, Rudy's supposed to come over and go, hey, I'm going to fuck up your country if you don't start an investigation. So it was what? Haberman enabled him. It's hard to say whether that's the case. Because like Trump definitely viewed her as his therapist. He said it to somebody, like that's in her book apparently, but other people have agreed with this, that for some fucking reason, yes, Mark Foley was 2006. Thank you. For some fucking reason, she was able to get him to open up. Now, what do you do? What do? You right now. You won't be able to stop this guy from saying what he's saying. And you'll never get to the point where he speaks openly in front of you unless you do a little bit of like, oh yeah, we're buddies kind of conversation. If it turns your stomach doing that, you'll never be a spy and you'll never be an investigative journalist. And you're like, but you understand, for those jobs to exist or those people to exist or them to be able to do their job, they are going to have to swallow their own sense of disgust sometimes. He couldn't help himself, Woodward, right? Well, that's part of it too. But Woodward, it took Woodward, the only reason he did with Woodward was because, and Woodward is fun to say. If you say Woodward like 9 times, it's just fun for your face. He only spoke to Woodward because it was Woodward and Bernstein wrote All the President's Men, and it was like, ooh, I'm talking to Bob Woodward. Like, that's why Trump did it. And the difference between what he told Woodward and what he told Maggie Haberman is he told Woodward things that he thought were right, but were wrong. He told the stuff he knew was wrong to Maggie Haberman. You get me? Does that make sense? So I'm just like, I have never, ever operated in a world where the morality of the circumstance was that cut and dry. Like people where, and right now, because of the red hat move, there's this kind of belief that like you can pretty much categorize all those folks as evil, right? And the problem is those evil people that wear the red hats will coax some people who aren't evil, but just gullible, stupid, mean, scared, any neighborhood emotion to evil. They go, you're like me, man. I hear you, which is how people get sucked into cults in the first place. And if you're going to extract people from a cult, you're going to have to understand. And this is what Hillary was trying to say with the basket of deplorables thing, that there's clearly a group of Trump supporters and those close to him that belong in a basket of deplorables. That does not apply to all of them, including the ones wearing the red hat. So you got to be able to sift through them and talk to those people. Because again, you guys have, we've mentioned this before. A lot of times when you're talking to, even on Twitter or someplace else, a right winger or somebody in that like political mentality, or spirituality at this point. If you're arguing with them, you're not really arguing with them because you're not going to move them. They are locked in. That's why they're in fighting mode. But other people might read this exchange or be a participant or soft participant in this exchange. And that's the person you can reach. You can very seldom reach the person you're arguing with. But the person just over their shoulder is not just watching how their side is behaving, but how the other side is behaving as well. They are not the front line. And if you can coax the second line and the third line and the fourth line out, eventually you undermine the entire movement. And if you don't convince them, at the very least, you convince them that they are not completely right and therefore they sit it out, which is exactly what's happening in the election cycle. They need to smoke a couple of reefers. I'll calm them right down. I don't know. I don't smoke weed and I never would. No interest. I do think it's fantastic that Biden pardoned felony simple possession convictions. Yesterday, 6,500 of them, and then moved to declassify weed as a Schedule A drug. Let's see if it's even in here. Maybe it's down. It might be in this top part. But why is Ivanka trending? Dear God. Who's creepier, Ivanka around his... Oh, yeah, okay, I see. Trump is like Ralph Lauren. He made Ivanka. You like Ivanka? Yeah. Oh, is he talking to Kanye? Trump is like Ralph Lauren. He made Ivanka? All right, I'm not going to jump in halfway in a fucking conversation like that and try to figure out what the fuck is going on. Let's see. $2 billion Saudi check appears even more comically corrupt than previously thought. All right, okay, that's probably the part. Vladimir Obaninsky lost his entire family in early March when a Russian airstrike hit his house, killed his 40-year-old wife, Natalia, his 14-year-old son, Volodymyr, his 19-year-old daughter, Ivanka, and her 1-year-old twins. God damn. Right. Okay, so that's what it is. It's because Kanye West said Ivanka. That's all. And then the Justice Department. Okay. U.S. Justice Department trial exhibit in Stuart Rhodes' open letter to President Trump. Do it now. Don't let the fact that it is Christmas stop you. Jesus Christ. This is this guy's letter. Dear President Trump, today, December 23rd, is the anniversary of the reading of Thomas Paine's The American Crisis, #1, to Washington troops as they prepared their minds, bodies, and spirits for the critical Battle of Trenton, which turned the tide of the war. General Washington had suffered defeat after defeat, and both he and his men were worn down. Many of his men were demoralized. Some of them had type 2 diabetes. Often they had trucks that needed new lug nuts. He needed a victory. Some of them were on HRT. He needed a victory. And to get one, he needed to go on the offense. And he did. I put extra spaces in there so it sticks out. He ordered Thomas Paine's immortal words read aloud to his men to get their minds right. It was, for those of you that don't know, it was Al Pacino did the best version of it. Oh, you're going to win. Anyways, he ordered Thomas Paine's immortal words run to get their minds right. Penned a simple note to himself: victory or death. Hump or death. Hump or death. Which became the password for the operation to cross the Delaware and attack the Hessians. At that time, there were many on both sides predicting his inevitable defeat, declaring that he was done. But the cause was lost. Many turned against him. But Washington did not listen to the doubting Thomases, get it, who were urging him to give up, trying to make a deal with the enemy. Instead, he went on the offensive. He attacked, and he won. Like Washington, you have suffered defeats, treachery, people you trusted abandoning you or even turning on you. Modern-day Benedict Arnolds abound. Like Washington, you have people in your ear urging you to give up. Make a deal. Don't do it. Follow Washington's example and attack. Yes, get in a fucking rowboat. Sorry. In our last open letter to you, I'm sure you're not done reading that one, we urge you to invoke the Insurrection Act, declaring an insurrection to be in existence by domestic enemies of the Constitution who are in allegiance with and doing the bidding of communist China and its globalist elites. It's the Jews and the Chinese, man. They're coming down. They're trying to take our factories and bring them back to the United States by putting Biden in office. I don't know how the fuck this is working, man. The whole thing's falling apart. Okay, anyways, we urge you to use SOCOM and other loyal military units to seize, where is it? Okay. Military units to seize the data not just on election fraud, but also data held by U.S. intelligence agencies and federal law enforcement that contain the dirt on all American elites who've been bribed or blackmailed by the Chinese communist regime or other foreign powers, or who are ideologically fellow travelers and willing to do their bidding. Dumb fuck, that is Trump. The fuck are you talking about? Well, he stopped reading at that point. He's like, what? Are these assholes serious? I'm supposed to release my own pee-pee tape? Go fuck yourself. What is that? Let's see. The deep state okay, there we go. The deep state strategy has been from day one to do what they do to like they do what you do when you did what you did to me. Surround you with deep state agents who will assist in containing you by giving you terrible advice. Lynn Wood, Sidney Powell, Mike Pillow, he's talking to you. I didn't know you were deep state agents. I'm not surprised to find it out. In any of their, let's see. And by refusing to take meaningful action in any of their posts, AG Barr is but one example. But, pretty much anybody you hired while you were president is on the list. Especially, I might add, anybody you hired after you fired the first fuck up. Can I just point that out real quick? But has anybody even done the accounting on the fact that Trump brought in people in the beginning that were like, he's like, I know the best people, they're the best, they're going to be the best. We have stupid people running things and best, right? That was his big sales pitch. I know all the smart people will do such smart deals. You have stupid people. And then he comes in, he hires this bunch of people, fucking Carter Page, PhD, whatever, Jeff Sessions. He brings these folks in, and then within a few weeks, he's like, fuck these guys. You guys suck. This is terrible. And he brooms them and brings in people who are worse. Yeah, the second batch was worse than the first. Does anybody notice that? Like, literally, Trump hates Barr worse than Jeff Sessions. Jeff Sessions just followed the law a little too closely. Barr, Trump thinks, was undermining him from the inside and was part of a big thing. Like, literally, his first choice was shit, and his second choice was subterfuge. All right. The best people, hashtag the best people. That always struck me as bizarre. And still Scaramucci started taking his limelight. Maybe, yeah. The mooch. Those were like PR people, though. You go through those people. Then we go through multiple. These were fucking cabinet members making decisions, giving him advice. Hi, everybody. Hi, chat room. Yes, I am standing up today. I'm standing. And I'm sorry my camera is choppy. I don't know what the fuck is up with this thing. But I'm working on it. I'm going to get the other camera up and running a little better, but I'm going to have to move my green screen, and it's a lot. Cacistocracy? More like crapistocracy, am I right? It's just... Stephen Miller is still sliming there. Yeah, but he was kind of an assistant. He wasn't any of his cabinet secretaries. Stephen Miller gave him advice and counsel, whatever. But he wasn't the people who would, remember Trump was going to get the people to run the departments. Yeah? His cabinet secretaries, all of them fucking sucked. The only one I don't think he broomed at any time was Wilbur Ross, right? And God knows that was because of the fucking Bank of Cyprus money and all that stuff. I mean, that nobody's even picked that fucking scab yet. Pump this down. Justice Department is said to believe Trump has more documents. Of course he does. Yes, he has more documents. They're empty folders. Now, granted, he probably ate some of them. But we have copies of those. And he only ate them because of his personal notes would have fucked him up. And those he probably went, I think I misspelled America on that one, so if I could, I might have to. Of course he has extra documents. Like I told you, Trump Tower and Bedminster are next. The issue right now is that they are watching both of those places to see if he is taking shit out of those properties. And he probably is. They're not taking them out in boxes anymore. They're putting shit in suitcases. And they're moving it around. And if that shit, if that becomes a thing, fucking hell. Mueller, she wrote, saying, at what point does national security outweigh the unwritten rule that the DOJ can't take overt investigatory steps within 60 days of an election? I would argue they shouldn't apply at all because he's not up for election. Right? Do I follow Palmer Report? Yes, I do. Yeah, I follow him on Twitter as well. These are just what's trending, so not from my follows. Yeah, so that's what that's about. People describe the shock of discovering through at-home DNA tests that they were a different race than they thought. Some people are shocked. Others do comedy routines. I do a bit about finding out how Scottish I am. I'm too fast for 60p. That's what it is. I found out I've got a tremendous amount of Scottish in me. and I think I'm gonna do that like um, titles, whatever that thing, where you could make you a lord. You buy a piece of Scottish land and you're a lord all of a sudden. If you like that, yeah. So, yeah, like I always knew you're Irish, a bit of Irish in there, and I don't mind having Irish. Like it's great because the whole thing's my island. But I'm gonna jump back in between the two, um, and I'll end up sounding South African. Don't understand. What are these people here? But I found out I'm way more Scottish than I thought, and so that was a nice surprise. Yeah, grew up thinking she was biracial. Then at home, she thought she was biracial. Dad. Kara Rubenstein thought she was biracial. Okay, cool. Yeah. Child believed her father was African American, but when she showed her DNA test result who's white, her mother said she was the outcome of a one night stand with a white guy. Oh. Huh. That's not her dad. That's just some other dude who had the same thing. Standard Girl had the darkest skin in his family, but he already imagined he was Puerto Rican. I called my mom and said, "Would you like to explain why I'm Puerto Rican?" She burst into tears and she said the name Carlos Rodriguez. He was married, but they had an affair while she was dating my non-biological dad. Ouch. Have you guys watched Only Murders in the Building? That's a subplot in Only Murders as well. It's terrific. It's a sweet story. Is there a downside to 23andMe? I suppose. Um, there's a downside to everything, I guess, at some point. Omit B is amazing. Yes, it is. I agree. Scotsman started the KKK. Easy. Jesus Christ. Why? Because it's in their blood? Did you realize? So, first of all, no. Secondly, are you making the case that Scottish people are inherently racist because some of them did? Okay. Did you realize the inherent racism in that? Right? All right. Zelensky's making statements. I'm addressing leaders at the summit of European political community held today in Prague. I call on them to do everything so that this new format in Europe, which United States could become a gathering of peacemakers. Okay, cool. Belarus bans consumer price rises in a bid to tame inflation. By the way, this dude is one of Putin's cronies. And anytime, here's what I suggest: when Republicans are trying to run on inflation, don't get into arguments that they won't understand the supply shock argument. They're not going to understand that that the Russians and the Saudis at this point are trying to manipulate the U.S. government to get Biden out of power and to soften the Democratic control in the House and Senate because they know this is the only way they catch hell. So they're trying to support the Republicans in this. You're never going to, they're not going to buy into that argument. They're going to know it's true on some level, and they're going to have the cognitive dissonance of having to fight these two competing thoughts in their head. That's not your business. Here's what I suggest. Send them articles about inflation in other countries all over the world. Send them articles on Turkey's 80% inflation or 100% inflation. Seriously. I wouldn't have given him a steam off of my piss. That's funny. Yeah, and the Saudis are out of oil. They're cutting production because the production doesn't exist in the first place. Yeah, we talked about Judy Tenuta dying yesterday. I'm sure it will come up in this. I love Judy. Judy was such a sweet human being. Bless her heart. She was 72 years old. She told everybody she was 65, that she was way younger. And she had forever. But in the 80s comedy boom, there were a couple of people that owned the character aspect of it. Bobcat Goldthwait, Emo Phillips, and Judy Tenuta, and Stephen Wright, I think, are the 4 pillars of that. Because I wouldn't, Kinnison, for example, he wasn't in character. He had this scream he did, but he was really himself. It was the people who did a character, like Kevin Meaney and others would do, these kind of versions. Tim Allen kind of did it with the, the Tool stuff, which he turned into a sitcom. And that was the goal. Back then, it was you had to build a set that was 8 minutes to sitcom. And then there were some folks that were just too far over that bridge for the sitcom and would just kind of hump along as comedic, alt comedic icons. And that would be, Stephen Wright, Judy, Bobcat, and Emo to some degree. So, Andrew Dice Clay I would argue, was a character as well, but he ultimately had to drop it and move away from it. So I would say that undercut it. Yeah, Gilbert's interesting because Gilbert was an exaggeration of his own personality, less about when you give you could tell the ones that did this more than any. I wouldn't consider Louis Anderson that. I think he could, he was one of those guys who you could build a sitcom on what he was doing. The ones that gave themselves a nickname, if they can't, she was the goddess of love, or even, Bobcat calling himself Bobcat. No, Hedberg was after that. Hedberg was Stephen Wright if he was raised by the people in the band Blind Melon. Bobcat is often on the panel of Wait, Wait. He's very good. Nice. I love Bobcat. I mean, I've been a fan my whole life. Pee-wee was a theatrical character. He was not a stand-up. I miss Titus. That show was good. Yeah, indeed. What do you think? Bob Saget was a comedian. He was a comic. He was just straight up comic. He was himself, but he would just tell jokes. Rodney Dangerfield was very close to it, but ultimately was, talking as himself. He made up characters that he interacted with. That was an old school sort of 60s, 70s things, like Dr. Vinnie Boombots and all that kind of idea. That's different. But in the 80s, there were these kind of caricature, idealized, silly beings. Is Emo still married to Judy? No. Yes, Foster Brooks as a drunk, right. John Candy was a genius, but John Candy was a sketch performer and an actor. Martin Lawrence, sketch performer. Dr. Demento wasn't even much of a performer himself. It was more like Wolfman Jack Man, but for guys who made comedy. Yeah, I would argue Norm Macdonald was fairly close to that because he was a deep thinker, very philosophical human being in his own time, kind of quiet. And then he played dumb on purpose so that he could get away with some of the stuff he would say that was intentionally funny because it was stupid. Father Guido Sarducci was a sketch character, not necessarily stand-up, although he would do monologues. Steve Martin in his heyday played a character. Agreed. Steve had, his theory was he wanted the kind of comedy where friends are just standing around and you don't have to say the whole thing. All you can say is and everybody goes, and you're all laughing. You don't actually have to sell the bit. It's just funny. Almost nothing but punchlines was kind of the theory. Hicks was a comedian. Carlin was a comedian. Yeah. Aw, that's great, James. John Candy held you on a flight in the 70s. That's lovely. And then I actually found and thought he was funny. He does characters in video, just stand up, and his birthday is the same day as HAL. It's a good day for comedy. Andy Kaufman, I was never a fan. Tony Clifton was a character that Andy Kaufman and Bob Zmuda both played so that you could never tell who it was. Billy Crystal was himself but would do multiple characters. I'm talking about people who had a character and stayed there. They stayed in it, and Judy was one of those. Judy had the love goddess thing and the accordion, and Emo Phillips has that really like touched, kind of crazy, the Prince Valiant haircut, and just stay in character forever. Yes, Stephen Wright is a character. Stephen Wright's his name, but he always did stand up in character. Carrot Top's just a prop comic. That's really him. That's his personality. Eddie Izzard, I wouldn't count in that either. Howie Mandel definitely did stand up in character. Because he's totally backed out of that. Phyllis Diller's a good example. Mom's Mabley. It was rooted in that. Seinfeld was just him, again, exaggerating your own personality and being yourself and just being a stage version. There's either two veins on that. You're a comic or you're a comedian. And the old adage is comics say funny things, comedians say things funny. And so comedians are more like long form storytellers who can bring you along on the ride, and you're in the story of who they are and what their interactions, and it's meant to be a bond between you and them, both in the real and the absurd in how they describe things. Whereas a comic can just tell odd jokes and move on to the next one. Robin was a comedian, I would say, for sure. Jonathan Winters. Winters was a character impressionist, and his stuff was all improv, and he seldom did stand-up as we know it. So I wouldn't put him in that category at all. He did albums, and he would do a nightclub act, but it wasn't stand-up. I'm a purist about this shit. I'm standing up right now. Look out. But the list is definitely endless. And by the way, we got on this conversation from Belarus bans consumer price rises in a bid to tame inflation. Earthquake. Who had an earthquake? Portland, Oregon. Well, that doesn't matter. Portland doesn't even exist anymore. There's no Portland. Bill Cosby was all the comic comedian until the gross crimes. He was always a comedian. Cosby was a comedian. He was not a joke teller. He didn't come up and just tell gags. He had long form stories. Hal should be on Jeopardy. I was on Jeopardy, Steve. I won $50,000 on Jeopardy, on Celebrity Jeopardy for Doctors Without Borders. You're welcome. That's true. True story. So, did you feel it? If you're asking, it wasn't a real earthquake. Oh my God. Dinosaur killing asteroid triggered a mega earthquake that lasted weeks to months. Yeah. And everyone in the Bay Area coming to Twitter to confirm there was an earthquake. I see. Yeah, those kind of jokes all the time. Yeah, 4.2. Yawn. So it's snooze button. Yeah, is this going to be Belarus, what we just saw, the other part? Belarusian border guards damaged the fence on the border with Lithuania. A video surveillance camera captured them helping with the barbed wire and breaking the fence, after which they pushed the 7 migrants into the territory of Lithuania and ran away. Migrants? Belarusian border guards damaged the fence on the border with Lithuania. A video surveillance camera captured them helping with the barbed wire and breaking the fence, after which they pushed 7 migrants into the territory of Lithuania and ran away. What makes you think they were fucking migrants? Why wouldn't you think they're soft forces at this point? I mean, Russia is planning on undermining uh, Lithuania and Latvia and these, and Weird Al. Weird Al's a musical parody artist. I like not stand up, but that's why. Yeah, I mean, like this is not like people trying to seek a job in Lithuania. They're either trying not to serve in in the Russian military, or they're sent there by the Russian military. Elias Bialatsky of Belarus, Russia's Memorial in Ukraine, CCL wins the Nobel Prize. Okay. This morning, Russia launched its first missile attack against Ukrainian territory from Belarus since August. Deep behind Ukrainian lines, Lukashenko's... Yeah, Lukashenko's a puppet of the Russian government. Ordered a Russian human rights group that he shut down a Ukrainian human rights group that is documenting his war crimes, and Belarusian human rights activists whom his ally Lukashenko has imprisoned. They're sending a message, it would seem. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Audio leak. An audio leak from... Okay, Imran Khan. In which telling Asad Umar and Shireen Mazar that by using cipher, he made a fertile ground for spoon-feeding public propaganda against Mir Jafar and Mir Sadiq, a term he allegedly used for Army Chief Kumar Savage Bajwa. Yeah, that worked out well. This is the clearest MRI of a pregnancy ever recorded. Okay. Yeah, so this is all going to be about Pakistan. For the most part, yeah. Yikes. Miracle. Serious question. We have a perfect BLT. Which one do you choose? Regular mayonnaise. Are you out of your mind? Chuck Grassley. I'm going to win in Iowa, where I'm basically running unopposed, and I'm doing a thing. I'm Chuck Grassley. This Biden crime family's got to be held accountable. Well, yeah. Yeah. I swear to God, like, I wish he would just quit government and go play banjo at Disneyland. Well, welcome around, everybody. You're going to settle down in here real quick. And we're going to grab yourself a turkey leg or an elephant ear. And I was going to, you know, if you don't know this one, dance along. Here we go. Come on now. I really got to tell you something. Let's see. Me, if you had those two states, you would be able to stop the 2020 election. Is what you're saying, Grassley? We wouldn't have been able to stop the election. We would have been able to choose. Oh, fuck you. We would have lost, but we would have been able to turn it all around. We would have been able to steal it. Don't you understand? It was about, we live in a world of attrition. Come on down here now. Chuck Grassley gets pissed when Michael Franken says he's weaponized women's rights and has a problem with women. You're in no position to lecture me about women. Scootily doo. Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is one of the longest running assholes, and like he's been around forever. Uh-oh. Oh boy. Here we go. Junior tonight says he read somewhere that leftists want a nuclear war because it will help solve global warming. Okay, so I did. high as a fucking kite. We'll look at that video later this afternoon. I think that's what that is. Yeah. Yeah, it's never good. Hey, settle down in here 1 second. Let me tell you a story. Listen here. It's okay to whistle when you say S's. It's part of the American dream. I'm John Kennedy, and I basically in an old Disney cartoon would follow Chuck Grassley around and ask his advice on the ladies. Come on in here. Get dolled up and rude like I do. Here, settle down in there. Let me tell you one thing. Super duper. I'm not that far off. That's why it's funny. I'm like this close. I'm Senator John Kennedy, and I disapprove of this massage. Yeah, there's a lot of. I will say for people who think they're winning, the right wing sure are neck veining like a motherfucker these days. Yeah, it's not, yeah. Good time. Listen here. Settle down, you whippersnappers. Where's what are you telling those folks? Well, if it isn't Chuck Grassley, well, dink my Dougal. But don't say that there's ladies present. Say, do you mind if I sing along? He's not macho enough to be Foghorn Leghorn. You guys call him that, and I think that's offensive to Foghorn Leghorn. Uh-oh. Unknown substance. Unknown substance. Where was that? Audio link, Lukashenko, Kanye, Ivanka. Oh, Home Depot. Yeah, he's been a right winger. Translation, shopping at Lowe's. Key to a missing woman, Texas woman's cold case was sitting in an evidence room for 4 years. Yeah. By the way, sometimes, if I may, point of order, Mr. Chairman, if I may, I've often been asked, about me running for president one day, and if it's a possibility, you're damn straight it is. And I would like to say that the first thing, if it's even necessary by the time I get around to it, if it is, it's going to be a travesty. The first time I hold any statewide office, anywhere, the first thing I'm going to do is is push a bill to fund the testing of every rape kit in the country. DNA cross-reference, that's it. Every fucking one. First, right out of the gate. I don't know why that, seriously, why is that not an immediate, and I would argue, Democrats, one of the things you could probably introduce in the next month is a bill to fund the testing and cataloging of every rape kit in storage in the country. Every single one. Load that shit into VICAP, period. Because there's women, Alan, nobody up there cares. Excuse me, there's plenty of women up there. Any of the women in office could put this forward. It has nothing to do with that. It's just people get prioritized on other shit. Better keep that one down low while campaigning? Not at all. Do we have enough labs? Well, that's what the funding would be for. That would be, I'd have a list of 10 priorities, but that would be the easiest one. You could prep that bill before you even got in office and go, day one, there it is. It's written. Let's start marking it up. It costs less than $1 billion. Too many rapist voters. Nope. I think it's a winning issue, and I think it would absolutely help. And I think whoever you're running against would be pissed. Oh, thanks. Thanks, Cynthia. Right out of the fucking gate. And it wouldn't even take, again, this is not something where you're like, okay, it's going to take weeks for us to, no. You can do it, you can prep it before you even get in office and then release the bill. Like we've made all the phone calls for you. We've checked with every state. We know what their back catalog is. We know what the cost is in general. We know how many more labs we would need. We'd need, 8 more labs or whatever. And we'd have to start this process and ironclad so that there's no mixing of samples, no muddying it at all. You don't want anybody to get away with it. So you want it to be like above board and the highest quality testing that exists. Right. Designate labs, hire people, set the standard, period. We have your cabinet started. Excellent. Let's see. The obviously huge issue that came up too. Biden posting this yesterday. Sending people to prison for possessing marijuana has upended too many lives and incarcerated people for conduct that many states no longer prohibit. That's before you address the clear racial disparities around prosecution and conviction. Today we start to right those wrongs. Let me be abundantly clear. There will be 2 aspects of this. One is you'll expunge somebody's marijuana conviction as part of it, and if they were involved in other crimes, they still have those. They're still carrying those around. So it's not like it's going to set violent criminals loose on society. Secondly, it sets a standard going forward. But will affect prison overcrowding. At this point, it'll be negligible because prison overcrowding has to do with the number of violent criminals we have in the United States, not with and us trying to pare down the number of prisons over time. Because there's been this back and forth about over incarceration and that kind of stuff. So politically, in a lot of states, especially big population states, big cities around, states that have big cities like California, Texas, Illinois, New York, there's been this talk about incarceration for a long time. They've been paring down. The problem is it doesn't match the volume of criminality because the populace expands. And statistically, you don't even need a rise in crime to have a rise in the volume of criminals. Get it? So, does it pardon military members too? But anybody who has a simple possession, a federal simple possession charge. And he's encouraging states, especially, and blue states will follow immediately. You want to talk about trigger laws? That's what's coming next. Is that Democratic governors over the next couple, weeks will start announcing that they're going to expunge simple possession just so that people can get a fucking job, so they don't have that on their record. If they have other shit on their record, like violent crime or domestic abuse, that's not going away. Just the weed part. So it will help people who only have that, and it won't help people who have other shit. Because nobody cared. I swear to God. Like, the idea is that, like, these violent criminals, they're going to be cut loose on society. Like, okay, fucko. If you have felony gun possession, domestic violence, armed robbery, assault, and weed possession, believe me, when you're looking for a job, the weed possession is the part they don't give a shit about. But if that's all you have is like your record gets flagged because you have weed, possession, that must have meant you had intent to sell, and therefore you might sell on the premises, and I got to deal with that, blah, blah. That would come up. Yes, it only covers federal weed crime because that's all he can do, Saha. He cannot override state law. That's why it matters who you elect on the state level as well. That's why it matters who your governor is and your secretary of state and your judges are. Don't use it personally, but fill your boots if you want to. I agree. I don't use it. I never would. I have no interest. I do not think it's harmless any more than I think alcohol is harmless. Wine is not fucking harmless. Heating anything and breathing the smoke, especially on the regular, is bad for you. I don't care what the fuck it is. That said, I don't think anybody should go to jail for it. It's not for me. Yeah, I know. It's not for anybody. It's a choice. You can vape and ingest though? No, I can't. I have no interest. Hell, most food is bad for you? No, it isn't, Glenn. Most food is not bad for you. Most food is good for you. It's those few foods that are bad for you that everybody eats a lot of. That's the personal use is not a crime. Exactly. You guys know, I was on the legalization drive in decriminalization drive in California. I did events with Melissa Etheridge and Danny Glover and others promoting it. And by the way, the legal weed business in California has not stymied. They make this big case that it has not stymied the illegal trade at all in California. That's because other states, it's still illegal. So what happens is, if you come in from out of state and to be a drug tourist effectively and try to take some home with you, there are rules about that stuff, how much they can sell you and that kind of stuff. But illegally, if you want to take some home with you, it's like fireworks. Like there might be some legal fireworks places inside the state where fireworks are legal, but the illegal fireworks places are just over the border in the legal state, and you really know it's not about it's really about taking it into the state where it's still illegal. Pot smells great. Oh my God. Pot smells like a baby's diaper full of skunk shit. Like, if you guys are going to do that shit, I suppose I would prefer you vape or do edibles, because god damn it stinks. You stink. You don't smell good. You don't. Smokers didn't before. I don't know why people think that they're immune. It's very weird. Pot smokers think they don't smell like smokers. It's an acquired smell. Yeah, like your own farts. Get out of here. It stinks. You stink. You stink. Just deal with it. It stinks. It smells really bad. Fuck you. And if you like the smell of it, then make a cigar bar. By the way, you know how many like potheads who I've had conversations with this about who are like, I don't know, I like the smell of it or whatever. Bitch about cigars, like being down. There's a cigar bar right next to the Improv on Melrose, and sometimes it's like open in the early evening before the show starts, and you'll see these like comics that I know. They fucking smell like weed. I'm talking to you, dude. You smell like weed, and you're like, God damn that stuff. Like, what are you talking about? What are you afraid it's gonna like? You stink, they stink. You guys stop setting fire to shit and breathing the smoke. But for the record, I'm allowed to have this fucking opinion, and I have it gladly, happily, and without anger or like without any like deep judgment of my fellow humans, because I think legally you should be able to do it. And legally, if you're allowed to do something legally, I'm allowed to have my opinion about everything that people do legally. The fuck are you talking about? Yeah. Cheech and Chong hate me. No, they don't. Cheech and Chong love me. Both of them. I've sang with Cheech Marin, all right? I've met Tommy Chong. I've spoken with him. Some people wear like Axe body spray. Jesus Christ. Like fucking, like don't go anywhere near Bill Maher's fucking dressing room back on Politically Incorrect. Holy shit. When I did the Tonight Show, the other guests were Snoop Dogg and Michael McConaughey, and they were like smoking weed like it was a contest between the two of them. I thought their dressing rooms were fucking on fire. And when they finally got out to do their interviews, Snoop couldn't remember his kids' names when Jay asked him, and Matthew McConaughey just wanted to talk about barbecue. You could get the munchies so bad, it was hilarious. Like I did a sketch and I had all this stuff or whatever, and they're like, "You ever eat? Wow, everything tastes so good." Like they were all Jane Fonda in 9 to 5. It was hilarious. Yeah, and by the way, not only did I push for medical marijuana when it first came out, but for the decriminalization, then ultimately the legalization for personal use. So anybody who gets their fucking butthole in a knot because I shit on its use, my conscience is clear. This is by the way a message to our pro life friends out there. This is how you do it. If you're making a moral case for something, the person having the choice to do it is part of the moral case. If you take the choice out, you also remove the morality, because no one is making a moral choice if they're simply doing, behaving a certain way so they don't go to jail or so that they get a reward. Do you understand? There's even an argument that the promise of heaven and the fear of hell removes morality. I don't kill people not because I'm afraid of going to hell or I want to get into heaven, although I have already real estate picked out. It's because it would be wrong. And because my feelings for my fellow human beings and my respect for their life is based on my intellectual, philosophical, and moral beliefs. Not because I'm gonna get struck by lightning or sent to an awful place. Do you understand? And to me, that would remove the moral choice, because then you're just a child trying to avoid a smack. Does that make sense? So, there you go. Grass. Number of butterflies in the UK falls to the lowest since surveys began because of plastic grass. Oh, because people aren't using water because they're saving water. All right. You do realize, all right. This is the result of environmental policy. Many would argue are positive, because people are making fake grass, fake yards, like their little backyard areas. They'll have gardens, but they won't have, the grass will be fake so that they don't have to water it, so that they don't waste water on a patch of grass that they only use to sit in a couple times a year. And then there's fewer butterflies because plastic grass. Now, one would argue there were at some point more, because people wanted little yards and they made them out of dirt hills and city streets and blah, blah, blah over time, before they, laid down asphalt and codified cities where they are. That at some point there became too many butterflies for the environment, because it was artificially boosted by the creation of lawns that were manicured to a certain height, whereas they wouldn't go to these like overgrown grasslands because that's not where they would go. Yeah. By the way, Splatoons is a great game. It's really fun. My kid loves it. 'Cause, 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 Grass tickles my paws. Oh, he's taking his pee pad outside so that he can pee on it outside. He's like, I know I have to pee on that thing, so I'm taking it with me to the yard. The other one's like, I got this. I just don't want to put my bits on the grass. And he just goes and he's just laying on it. Oh, and licking it. Okay, that's crazy. That was a new one, I hope. Oh, grass type, fire type. I see. So, yeah. Splatoons is really fun. It's like a paintball game with paint sprayers and rollers and all kinds of stuff. Cool. Quavo and Takeoff dropped their. Did somebody pick it up? I'm afraid it will get broken. Their collaborative debut album. Mm-hmm. Don Jr. and Ivanka, Uvalde, Belarus, Justice. We've covered most of these. Vladimir, Kanye, Lukashenko, Armageddon. Great. Breaking. President Biden said the risk of nuclear Armageddon is at its highest level since 1962 Cuban Missile Crisis. A Russian official speaking of the possibility of using tactical nuclear weapons after suffering major setbacks in Ukraine. Right. Do you want him to talk seriously about this, or do you want him to just go, I don't know, I don't think they could do it, fuck it, why would bother? Like, again, this is what happens when you take adult conversations and make articles out of it. And by the way, you could argue that in 1962 it wasn't at its highest point, that it could be at, for example, and that everybody was waiting for the other one to back down. That it was more like actors coming out of a trailer going, I gotta wait till he comes out of the trailer before I do, because I'm gonna be last to set, because that means I'm the star. That kind of shit. What do you think of Midas Touch? I think they're lovely guys. They're good people, in my experience. I have only cyber met them, so I've never had a sit down. I would like to. That'd be cool. But yeah, overall, it's a good. They're doing good work. Don't hide under your desk; it won't help. Depends on how far away the blast is. And how strong your desk is. Yeah, I really like them too. Biden boom, 260,000, 3 new jobs. Oh, yeah. Well, that's the thing. So that's what's triggering everybody right now, that the Fed's going to keep raising rates because we keep getting jobs keep going up. That the Fed is going to raise rates again because unemployment is crucial to their idea that that's what's driving inflation. There's more money out there to be earned. More people are earning money. Therefore, that's driving prices up. It fucking isn't, because inflation right now that we're experiencing, the price increases we're experiencing as inflation are not caused by monetary issues. They are not monetary, so they are supply related. In particular, gas is hard to come by and oil is hard to come by because they're malign actors in the world intentionally making it hard to come by. Namely, the Saudis dropping by 2 million barrels a day. Unemployment rate 50-year low, 3.5. 10 million new jobs under Biden-Harris, which is a record. Hispanic unemployment hits an all-time low. Black teen unemployment is the second lowest ever. Manufacturing jobs continue to climb. Yeah. While Fox is talking shit, yeah, average monthly job growth by president. Look at this. Oh, for fuck's sake. With the I draw such a crowd that the bots really show up and try to sell stuff. Go away. Yeah, oops, sorry. I wanted to do that. Hold on. Jobs real quick. Look at the whole trend thing. Yeah. When you're in a recession, you don't add 263,000 jobs. Unemployment isn't at 3.5%. Dems need to boast about this jobs report. Agreed. Yeah, payroll employment increased by 263,000 in September. Unemployment rate edges down to 3.5%. Yeah, this is why they're going to drive the stock market's going to take another dip because it's overvalued anyways, and it's going to and you're going to see all these like trader class folks that that are big Fox News fans flipping the fuck out while everybody else gets spending money. When's the last time I was in Philly? Last year? HAL should do a 101 tour. Yeah, just to explain to people what the fuck. This is corporate gouging. No, it isn't. I've heard that everywhere. The price gouging idea, that's not the case. The cost of transportation. Look, the price of eggs, the price of getting a chicken to lay an egg and getting that egg out of the chicken has not gone up. The price of getting the egg from the chicken to you has gone up. This has nothing to do with the price of eggs. It's the transportation costs of the actual egg, okay? The price of eggs has not gone up. The price of getting eggs has gone up. And therefore, getting feed, the cost of getting feed has gone up. The cost of transporting livestock. You understand? That's not the same thing. There did not become a new hurdle wherein there's this little, all the chickens have an issue, and now it's going to cost us an extra 10 cents for every egg that comes out of them to make it out of them complete. They keep crushing their eggs. Like, that's not how it works. And that's why if your proximity to stuff guarantees lower prices, because it's the transportation costs that have gone up. And that is why, by hook or by crook, whether you like it or not, we have to get off fossil fuels for the transportation of fucking everything that we possibly can. Now, airplanes will be the last one. Kerosene and jet fuel will, be required for a long time. We have plenty of fuel for 100 years of jet fuel for every fucking plane that wants to fly. But every consumer vehicle, or commuter vehicle rather, every commuter vehicle, there's no reason why it shouldn't be electric. And in the 2.5 car home that a lot of Americans live in, the idea of having a gas car for long trips or renting one and an electric car for all your regular commuting is completely logical. You do not have a gas-powered phone, you fuck. Even if you don't believe in climate change. Who gives a shit? Oil is disgusting and dirty. It ruins the environment. It's a necessary evil for the economy in some cases. And the more you can get away from that, the better. New York City eggs is airfare not rarity. Are you saying I'm only paying high prices for my New York City eggs, airfare not? Well, Manhattan, you can. That's a great example, though. The cost of something, like, I want to say, like, they did it on Only Murders in the Building, is that it's like Cheetos are like $1 in Brooklyn and $4 in Manhattan. And that's because the cost of driving trucks into Manhattan, especially post 9/11, went up inexorably. It was ridiculous. Transportation is connected to corporation. Transportation is its own sector of the economy. Agreed. And a lot of those guys are milking it. But those are international companies that also ate shit during the lockdown. The companies that are supposedly, the transportation companies that are allegedly gouging prices and raising prices right now were shuttered almost entirely during the pandemic. And getting workers back after the pandemic, the labor costs went up during that same time. Yes, you need fossil fuels to run certain parts of the economy and certain parts of our modern lives. And if you shut it all off tomorrow, just said, all right, we're outlawing fossil fuels, 1 billion people will die in 6 months. Period. And if that's your trade-off, that's fucked up. I did say inexorably, yeah. in talking about eggs. Peter Zion has a different take on the OPEC statement, said to wait a few weeks and see what they do. Agreed. Well, I don't think it will last. I think they're doing it for political purposes. Mm-hmm. Mrs. Awakens. $109 in tolls for semi-trucks in New Jersey. Right. I love hanging at my uncle's chicken farm. He let me keep the shellless eggs and eggs with blood sauce. Huh. Peter Zion is a doomer. No, he isn't. I wouldn't call him a doomer. He's just talking about the demographic collapse. He's totally not, when it comes to the United States, that's for goddamn sure. He's just looking at the demographic collapse of Russia and China as a geopolitical issue that they're not going to be able to get out from under because it was self-inflicted. Wasn't natural. By the way, neither was the baby boom. The reason there's a drop-off in population is because there was a giant spike in population. And the reason there was a giant spike in population was all this goddamn fossil fuel. Because it allowed you to grow shit and get that food someplace that it couldn't get before. Yes, Zion is a big picture. And that's not how you spell his name, too. It's Zeihan. They also benefited from those PPE loans that was supposed to go to my favorite food trucks. Tabby, I don't know what you're referring to. On a case-to-case basis, anecdotally, there's no reason why there would be any separation. You wouldn't say, these PPP loans are for any business with wheels. It's not the same thing. A lot of that had to do with the number of employees. And a lot of food trucks they have under 5 employees. Whereas big shipping companies shuttered, the numbers of truckers, for example, that, where they're every family attached to every trucker who was driving goods for about 8 months was shit out of luck. What can Biden do about oil prices? It could cost bigly in the midterms. Well, one of the things he could do is continue to call out the Saudis and the Russians about trying to manipulate the American people through this, trying to scare Europeans and the United States, because that's what they're doing. They know that a certain volume of Americans will cry uncle when oil prices get too high, and they have control over it. And the way you answer that is not to go, oh, please, maybe we could fix this. And don't. No, fuck that. These folks are trying to manipulate you. All the more reason why we need to get away from that as a primary fuel source for your cars or your light trucks. Yes, Biden is already doing that. Other people need to catch up. We need to do that, for example. Because essentially the argument is, so if the only problem that Nazi Germany had was that it didn't have oil to manipulate the world with. That's effectively where we are. That if Nazi Germany had oil and gas, the number of people supporting them in Western countries would have been through the roof. The soft support beyond the absolute racist support that they had primarily, that's there in any society, would have been much bigger. I was using food trucks as an example of mom and pop businesses. Agreed. But again, those smaller ones, restaurants, for example, did get PPP loans. Look at Marjorie Taylor Greene. Their construction company got that. That was a small company. They're a family-owned business. The Taylor Construction. How do I like my stand-up desk? I'm enjoying it so far. I will say, I've got a couple of things to tweak before the afternoon show. But I like the idea of standing, in this, and it'll take some getting used to as far as, making it natural, for how I gesticulate and talk to you guys. But I think it's good to have this as a way of doing the show regularly. I'm more comfortable doing this. As a matter of fact, on there used to be a chair on Talk Soup, if you'll remember, in the very beginning. Kinnear and John Henson sat in a big chair, and that I auditioned in that chair. And I made a request when I got there. I was like, can we move the chair out? Can I stand? Because I come from the world of stand-up, and I prefer to stand. I'm doing a show for you. So I feel like I should be standing. Just a thing. And it is better for my butt. It's true. And this is America's ass. I'm just saying. Also, I may get a treadmill at one point. You may see me just doing this show, like just, and then I'll put in the background, I'll put like a walking road so it makes sense. Yeah. How's Chip gonna sit in my lap without a chair? Well, he's gonna have to wait until I do like big Trump stuff, you know, like big long form lectures or the rallies or whatever. Yeah. Show no. That's for the OnlyFans. Only Sparks. Only HALs. Whatever. Do I have arthritis yet? No, I do not. I don't plan on having it. Call it walking and talking with Hal. Yeah, today we're going to have a walk and talk. I got my treadmill out. We're just going to like walk. Just walk in place. It's not a bad idea, just doing the show in general. Like, hey, get on your feet. Start moving around. So, play Jurassic Park on the screen, run for my life. Must go faster. Must go faster. Right. Treadmill talk. That's not a bad idea. Yeah, I got a sit stand desk. I got it's got 3 settings on it. I only have 2 settings. I set the one for sitting. That's 1. 2 is standing. And 3, I don't know what the fuck I'm gonna make that as. Like that, maybe that's just squatting. Just put it in, be in a horse stance. It's just Karate Kid the whole show. Houseworks Fitness Group. Yeah, I'll put like one of those like workout things, and then just constantly be like, hey, today we're doing a thing where just do it like kettlebell swings. Well, you know, economically speaking, if you're looking at Q4 returns on something like that, you got to factor in the number of holidays and the number of both seasonal hiring. Right? I'm just saying. Yeah. And if I, like right now, I'm standing on one leg. So, yeah. Let's get physical. Yes, and I do have my VR headset. So I could put the VR, what I'm watching in here and, you know, do that at some point. That'd be hilarious. CrossFit comedy. Everyone sweat with Hal. Your showtime will shrink? I don't think so. We're almost at 2 hours, and I feel like I'm just getting started. So I'm also I ordered it. I hope it comes today. But I ordered a little stand to put my keyboard and my Stream Deck on, separate from the desk, so that when I'm working, I can sit and use it right in front of me. It adjusts, and then when I'm standing up, I can move it back and do it from here, and be able to run the show without having to lean in, and I can do this with this. Right. So, anyways, just to make it, you know. For me, this is just what makes it more of a show. How do I like my Stream Deck? I fucking love that thing. I mean, it's been a godsend. I have 3 of them. I have one that's here, one on my other computer, and one that I take with me on the road. Because even just the ability to program a stop-start button on it, where I can just tap it as I go, has been amazing. Oh, piss off, you little stupid sites with your stupid things and stupidity things. Oh my gosh, thank you so much for the super chat. Oh, by the way, thanks, Mr. Monster, for the super chat. Cynthia, thank you. This is start your war chest. Oh, that was and then I just saw one go by. I hope it hasn't come up yet. Oh, Sean. Might do audition for the Daily Show. I might just be doing it here. At this point, what's the difference? A contract with Comedy Central? Yeah, VHS grade video. I know it's a. I've got to fix this camera. I don't know what it should be. It looks great on my Mac, and it just looks like shit on this PC, and I don't get it. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know why it's fucking doing this, do I? It's so fucking weird, isn't it? So odd, but I'll work on it. I've still got some tweaking to do. You don't make $5 million a year here. That's true, Sean. But Russell and Jimmy and all those folks make way more than that. So in theory, just saying, if I build my own empire, they can't take it away. It's the Earths, mate. You think so? I don't know. I'm gonna look at it. Hold on. I don't think it's the Earths. It's very weird. I'll open the fucking camera hub. I'll do this. I'll set it on here. It looks great over there. Noise reduction, anti-flicker. So I'll turn this off. Go to there. It doesn't give me a chance, right? Messing around with the 30 hertz, like, yeah, it doesn't give me a chance to change the hertz on it. Although setting it at 30 frames, this one's supposed to be 60 frames, but the camera's and it looks fine on there, but it's over there. Maybe I got to dick around with setting. You know how I get. I'll be tweaking the shit out of this thing all day because I work for a living. By the way, it's 11, so I'm going to fuck off right now. I'm trying to keep my show high and tight right now. I hope you guys are okay with that because I got to sing my ass off next week and for the next 2 weeks. And then, again, major kind of announcement. The Ultimate Jam Night, which I've been doing as a guest for years, and then I've filled in as a host a couple of times, which is Tuesdays at the Whiskey in LA, about once or twice a month. We're hoping to do twice a month. Comes back after a short hiatus because they lost their Paulie, their original host, is moving, I think, and he can't do it anymore. And I love the place. I love the people. I love everybody involved in it. I love the bands that I've been able to sing with and perform with over the years. And so I will be taking over the hosting duties starting in December. So December 6th is the first Ultimate Jam Night hosted by HAL SPARKS with my namesake on it, which will be great. I'm very proud of that fact. I hope one day we'll be able to turn it into some sort of a filmable show or a streamable show or a network-like show, on the equivalent of America's Got Talent and The Masked Singer and that kind of stuff. Ultimate Jam Night, should be this, like, you guys should know these few songs. We're going to, spin the wheel and the band is formed by, audience choice or whatever, and you guys just go up there and do it. And like, I just feel like that's a show waiting to happen these days. Yeah. Will there be streams? I hope so. I'm not doing it to make money. I mean, it's not going to make much money, but what I do want is that we will have an attachment to a music charity for every show so that we can provide instruments or music education or like free, I don't know, if there's a guitar tabs app, for example. If I could get guitar tabs, or ultimate tabs to give free 1 year memberships to, kids of high school age who play guitar or something like that, that kind of thing where we could raise money for those kind of things, where we partner with them, meet them halfway, do that kind of thing. So if you want to learn an instrument, you get access to this app for a year or something, those kind of things, like thinking outside of the box, not just going like, here's some trumpets for a school program. Although I think that's a great idea too. Every single Ultimate Jam Night, I feel myself, should have a charity tip of the hat and a way to contribute. So that's my addition to it, besides my lovely talent and my wonderful personality and my melodic singing voice, and ultimately my guitar playing, because I intend to play guitar as much as I fucking can. Because I usually end up just singing. But, it's funny, for the longest time, like I sing and play guitar in my own band. But now that I'm in Nerd Halen and then doing the jams, I'm like, I just sing now. I can do both. So, the jam is at the Whiskey on Sunset in Los Angeles. If you want to go look at the Wild Side video, if you want to see the club and what it looks like. But all the metal greats, hair metal greats especially, started there back in the day. It's an amazing club. And anyways, that's my contribution to it. And we're gonna make that happen, and so between now and December, I'm going to be reaching out and kind of forming a little team to find those charities and line up with those things for each one of them, and so we can help each other out. Yeah. So there you go. Anyways, it's just been, for me, it's been like frontman school. That's how I treated it when I first went there. I was like, okay, I don't know these songs. In some cases, like Paulie, bless his heart, would always give me the songs that nobody else wants to sing, where the notes are too high and there's too many words. And he's like, can you learn this by Tuesday? And I'm like, yes, sure. Why not? And so what I decided is, especially if it's a song I already knew, was that, like, how do I find who I am on stage when I perform? Because that part of yourself, that personality that's in your performing, oftentimes people will create a caricature of it on stage or base it on something else they've seen before. And you really only find your true, authentic performance self by doing it and getting out of your own way. And I've always said that I know when a song went well when I lose my mind, when I'm performing in such a way that I'm not present in my performance. I'm not going, this would be cool. Like, the minute I do that, I'm out. But if I'm in the song and I can just, like an actor, perform the song from an authentic place, whether it's fun or scary or cool or silly, if I can find that space, then that's me. That's my personality, my humanity, my place as an artist, right? And so that's how I treated the jam. And that's how I went to the jam at every time, was like, how do I show my true self in this, right? So it's been great that way. And it will continue to be that, and it's super good. Could it be Satan? Probably. I don't know. I think Satan's taller, honestly. We need a sound check. I do front of house. Oh, excellent. Hold on. Wait. Hold on. I've got that scrolled past where I could see it. Hold on. Where is that? Steve, thanks. Your front house and monitors. Nice. I say I play good for a chick. Oh, nice, Evelyn. So, play the best song. That was a great jump you posted on Facebook. 80s David Lee Roth would be proud. Yeah, I was pretty happy about that. It was so funny on the, like, and I've got to get it the fuck out of here. But so I did the jump splits every night, sometimes multiple times a night, on these 4 shows we did in Texas, and then again this Wednesday, and in Austin, on the last night, on the second show, like, I did a jump and landed on the ground, and I was like, people had moved closer, so I was like, I'm jumping right into these people, so I stopped myself, whatever, and I kind of went this way, and the band was like, are you okay? Did you hurt your ankle or whatever? And I was like, I'm totally good. But I did notice one interesting thing, was that my shoes got looser as the weekend went on, because I was not wearing laced up shoes, because for Nerd Halen, I try to make it look like a bit of a uniform, that I just untucked my shirt and now I'm a rock and roller. That's the kind of character that I had to it. So I just wear black shoes. So I got these, like, slip-on Adidas tennis shoes that have good grip on them, and I got them a half size too small, so they grip my feet. So I can just put them on. They look more like dress shoes than something with laces, right? Because I'm not going to wear fucking loafers and eat shit, right? So, anyways, over time, because these are not laced up shoes, they just did not survive 4 shows in a row. By the time I broke those things in 4 shows. So, I'm going to be wearing laced up shoes. Matter of fact, Wednesday I was back to wearing my Nike lace ups because I was like, I'm not gonna fucking break an ankle because my shoes just go like blow like a tire. I'm like, I need some wrestling boots or something. So that's the next thing. That's my next tech upgrade. But yeah, I ate a pair of shoes. They totally just died this weekend. I'm not wearing them again. But like literally the right shoe just went out like a tire. Like the part, like the foothold simmer was like had stretched out, and then the actual sole itself was just like separating because of landing on the sides or moving back and forth, and it had just put too much weight on either side of it. So all my little stupid dance moves, I just ground up a pair of shoes in 4 shows. I was like, yes. All right, that's it. I love you guys. I will see you guys this afternoon for the regular show. I may be standing. I may be standing. I may be sitting. We'll see. I think I'm probably going to stand just to feel it out. I hope that's okay. I'm going to work on the camera stuff a little bit and keep tweaking the whole thing. And that's it. And take care of yourself and take care of somebody else. And I'll see you in a bit. And thank you guys for the support. Thank you for the hype train right out of the gate. That's really lovely. And I hope you guys enjoyed the Midas Touch raid yesterday. If you're on Twitch, sometimes at the end of the show, if one of our friends like the Major or Midas Touch are up, or John or anybody else, I'll raid them and send them that way. Now, YouTube is supposedly supposed to be doing a similar thing. I have not, I don't know if they're rolling it out to limited people or what. At this point, hard to say. I don't think they have the, whatever, anyway, Midwestern goodbye. Don't worry about it. I'll see you guys later. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will be doing more of that in the future. Take care of yourself and take care of somebody else, and I will see you next time. Okay, bye.